The Office of Special Inspector General for Pandemic Recovery, quote, was almost set up to fail, according to the man that runs it. A year into his tenure, though, he says the office is a success. Brian Miller is Special Inspector General for Pandemic Recovery. Brian, welcome back to the program. Thanks for coming on. Why did you tell GovExec this week your office was almost set up to fail, Brian?
Francis, first of all, it's great to be with you again. Thank you for inviting me on. I mentioned that to government exec because there's just so many forces arrayed against us. It almost seems like it's set up to fail. Everybody wants oversight, but when it comes down to the nitty-gritty of actually doing the oversight, their support kind of wanes. So, on the one hand, you have a set of senators and congressmen that aren't crazy that President Trump nominated me or anyone to this position, and so you have, the support there is could be stronger, and then you have other senators and congressmen that aren't thrilled about the idea of having the Special Inspector General in the first place. So that I come into a job that I think is critical, because you need to have a special inspector. You need to have an inspector general focused on nothing but CARES Act programs administered by the Treasury, Department of Treasury. And I'm not sidetracked by any other obligations or responsibilities the way an agency IG is, his attention is divided, or her attention is divided, because they're looking at other aspects of how the agency is performing. I'm looking at nothing but CARES Act programs. And I think that the country at this time needs that sort of focused oversight. And so I was bringing that focused oversight, and, throughout the nature of a special IG is that they're focused on one thing, but you always have an agency IG. So there's always tensions. I know Neil Borofsky, the special IG for Troubled Asset Relief Program, SIGTARP, has written about it in his book. He faced similar tensions. Almost every special IG faces these sorts of tensions. And so, you come into the agency and you're looking at these programs, and, for whatever reasons, people seem to line up against us to make the job difficult. It's almost an impossible job to start with, because you're starting a brand new federal office from nothing during a pandemic. So as I said last time, Francis, it's like building the airplane while we're flying it, but not just while we're flying it, but flying it through the storm. So we have all these pressures and challenges, and then you have, what's happened recently is we've had challenges to our jurisdiction, and so then some offices in the executive branch say that, well, we really don't want an extra set of eyes overseeing this program. We already have an agency IG. Well, that's an argument against every single special IG there is.
And Brian, in the time that we have left, I apologize for interrupting, but there's an existential question here that maybe a template should be established, because we need special IGs on an ongoing basis, so that the next one doesn't have to do what you did. What support do you need from who right now, moving forward, to be able to continue to execute the responsibilities of your office?
Right now, I need legislation from Congress to clarify that my jurisdiction covers all the programs, pandemic programs administered by the Department of the Treasury. So specifically the payroll support program, the coronavirus relief program to the states and municipalities. Those are the two big programs. Those are the programs we were conducting investigations and planning to do audits on, and talking with DOJ and U.S. attorneys about. And so legislation clarifying that our jurisdiction covers that is really what we need right now. There are all sorts of lessons learned and other ideas that we have for future legislation, for future special inspectors general, but those are the two big things right now.
What have you tried to do in the year that you've been in office now to assuage the concerns of people that were skeptical about your nomination. You alluded to the fact that there were folks that were concerned that you were basically a Trump appointee overseeing something that was coming out of the Biden administration. How have you tried to act to demonstrate to Congress that you are a fair actor in the position you're in today?
Well, Francis, you've known me from before. I was IG at GSA for about a decade. I have a track record. I'm always non-partisan, and I try to reach out to all groups. I've tried to meet with all groups and in the Congress, and also the public interest groups. I've met with them, and I've participated in a listening tour and reached out to other IGs and to the Council of IGs on Integrity and Efficiency, and also the Accountability Committee of IGs as well, of which I'm a member. And so I'm trying to work with everybody and anybody who will work with us. My mindset is, from law enforcement, I was a federal prosecutor, is to just make the cases, do the important audits, and work with anybody and everybody who's willing to roll up their sleeves and make the cases. And I don't care what office it is. If they're helping, we want to have their assistance.
Brian, we have about, I'm sorry, we have about 30 seconds left. What would you consider a success if we have this conversation a year from now? What will you consider? We've done a great job.
Well, I think if we get our jurisdiction back to do these cases, that would be a great success. And we're already working on cases that are being considered for prosecution. I think that would be a success. I think doing critical audits, which we've already begun, would be a success. We've begun to do audits of the direct loans that the Secretary of the Treasury made, and I think all of that would be a success. I think it's just a success existing and having the wonderful staff that we have. We have a very experienced prosecutors, very experienced special agents, and very experienced auditors on our staff. And I think it's amazing to me when I sit back and look at the quality of the staff that we have and the effectiveness that we already are showing in our office. I think that's already a success. If we do that throughout the year, that will be a huge success. I think we are providing the oversight. And again, to your earlier question, I'm providing oversight and pushing ahead in doing audits and investigations, even when people didn't really encourage me to do that.
Brian Miller, we have to leave it there. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Francis.